bringing Darren Rovell, the ESPN Sports Business Reporter, and he joins us now. Darren, welcome. Why $2 billion for the Clippers?
Dan, there's no rational sense that I can make of $2 billion for you. It's that, you have these rich people out there, and as we've seen over the past 5 years, roughly a third of the NBA ownership is turned over. It's gotten younger, and a guy like Steve Ballmer made one pass, certainly at least one pass, obviously, with the Kings and trying to move him to Seattle, getting older, wants to move to L.A., and this made sense to him. Now, it doesn't make sense from an asset value. It doesn't make sense from a cash flow value. It makes sense because this is a toy, not an investment.
If we didn't have the controversy, let's say 6 months ago, what would the Clippers have sold for?
I actually believe the losing bid, so the first losing bid, which was David Geffen, Larry Ellison, Oprah Winfrey, Lorraine Jobs, the widow to Steve Jobs, the ex-wife of Steve Wynn, who combined has a net worth of about $70 billion. I don't think they would be in the game as much. And they were $400 million off Ballmer. I think obviously Oprah and there was certainly a charge as to we're going to make this right. We are California people, and we want to make this right. And I do think that added. So I think if this would have sold without any issues with Donald Sterling, I think it would have been closer to $1 billion, or maybe even a little bit less. Again, if you look at the financials, they have a really bad deal. Listen, AEG negotiated a deal for Staples Center. There's 9 years left on it. They make no money off suite revenue. It's not the greatest deal. Their TV deal is $25 million. They have a new deal that they can renegotiate in a couple of years. Could be $50, $60 million. There's just no way to make sense of $2 billion for anyone, other than that Steve Ballmer is worth $20 billion, and hey, it's only a little bit of his net worth.
How much of this negotiation was let's do something right for Los Angeles? We won't stand for this. I mean, it's nice to feel that way, but
none on Shelley's part. I mean, this negotiation, yes. So Steve Ballmer is going to say the right things, certainly. But on Shelley's part, I don't think this has anything to do with the right thing.
No. I'm taking her out of the equation.
Yeah,
I'm just talking
owners,
about. Yeah,
I mean, Steve Ballmer's going to say the right thing. I do believe. I did speak to David Geffen, and I've had a relationship with him as far as talking with him, and I truly believe that his group, really believed that they wanted to do something different, and they're well-heeled people who felt like it was important to have, to turn around the Clippers and for them to do something about it. I don't think that was the main motivation, but I do think it played a part in it. I didn't talk to Steve Ballmer, so I can't tell you genuinely what he felt about it.
He's Darren Rovell, ESPN Sports Business Reporter, joining us, Dan Patrick's show. How does Donald Sterling screw this up?
So the deal is that, we've learned that the trust provides that if one of the trustees is deemed mentally incapacitated, then they are removed as a trustee, which has happened here. Donald can try to oppose that, so he would essentially be suing his own family trust, and he could also try to sue the NBA. I'm not going to predict what Donald Sterling is going to do because predicting what rational people do is tough enough. But I guess that's what could happen, and then I would assume the NBA would proceed on June 3rd to try to kick them out. But the NBA wants this deal to be done. They like Steve Ballmer. They've already vetted him really through how close it got with the Kings, and they want this deal done. They do not want to have June 3rd. Kick the Sterlings out and then say, all right, let's do this whole thing over again. They do not want that. But they also don't want to be legally exposed. So I think over the next couple of days, you're going to see the NBA kind of come up with what their legal strategy is and see if they can make it so that Ballmer could win this thing and the Sterlings can go away clean and they don't even have to take this vote.
Hypothetically, what are the Lakers worth now?
See, this is the interesting thing. Everyone's saying this morning, well, what's every other team worth?
Mm-hmm.
This does not translate to every other team. This is an outlier, right? But for the Lakers, it actually does translate. The Buss family is now going to have to think long and hard about how much they want to keep this team, because the Lakers, I'm saying the Clippers' new TV deal in a couple of years will be $60 million a year. The Lakers are bringing in $150 a year. The Lakers are always going to be the Lakers, even if the Clippers, are a little bit more relevant now on the court. I think that the Lakers, with this, are clearly conservatively north of $3 billion. And I do believe that everyone who bid here, who were the so-called lucky losers, would bid again. So there is definitely a parallel to the Lakers, and that's probably, the closest team that really benefits from this. And I think, the Buss family wants to keep it in the family.
Mm-hmm.
But now they wake up this morning and they say, how much? I mean, how much do we really love this?
I also want to take this down the road. I mentioned this at the start of the show. Steve Ballmer is a businessman. This isn't a charitable, deduction or organization he's running now with the Clippers. Let's take this 10 years down the road. And I have the Clippers. I'll get out of that lease with Staples. I'll have my own building. Maybe I have a building that can be a combo platter with an NFL team. Think bigger picture here, because this is what these guys do. That's why they make $20 billion. Do you see a big play here that has anything to do with the NFL, with what just transpired with the Clippers?
It's hard, because when you look at the NFL, I mean, they've done fine in small cities. They've done fine without L.A. In fact, we say this over and over again every time we talk about L.A., that L.A. is served as a carrot, as a hey, we're going to move to L.A., and then, all of a sudden the Cardinals have a spanking new University of Phoenix stadium. L.A. has served owners who are threatening to move well, and I don't think necessarily they need L.A.
But the owners
what's interesting is that here's the interesting thing. AEG is the company that said, hey, we'll build the stadium.
Yep.
And AEG is the one that owns the Staples Center. So the question is, now that AEG is going to be a partner with Steve Ballmer, now, does that do anything? You just talked about why doesn't he go out of the Staples Center, and I think the best chance of L.A. happening is, hey, we're now partners. We now know each other. You're AEG. You own the Staples Center. You've put up. You say you're going to build the stadium potentially, and we'll have Farmers Field, and you already have the naming rights. Let's be partners. And so that I think is a partnership more than moving away and doing your own thing. But again, the political pork in L.A. is crazy. There's a reason why it hasn't happened. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but perhaps the AEG partnership and friendship with Staples and them being partners now could contribute to maybe having potentially a 33rd team or moving somewhere.
Good to have you back. Your hair looks nice today.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. That's Darren Rovell, ESPN Sports Business Reporter.